I've always wondered, like, with my caffeine intake, like I was talking about this morning, I wake up and it's like, it's always been like this from as long as I can remember, other than when I was in high school before I really became a substance abuser.
Yeah.
But every morning I want something. I don't like how I feel. I don't like the skin that I'm in. I don't like I don't know what it is. It's just some type of underlying anxiety right in the morning where I'm just like, and I'm mad a lot of times. And so like I always just like want to take something, you know what I'm saying? And so it's like caffeine now. But I feel like that's just a mindset too. Like I would think if I got away from caffeine entirely, like, damn, I might just become a spiritual man. Like it might, because I mean, caffeine's a drug.
It is.
Like, and the way I'm using it is very addictive thinking. Like I'll take, and it's almost like the same type of deal with the kratom.
It is addictive
thinking. It's what it comes down to is unconscious compulsive use versus conscious use.
Yeah.
And that's everything in life.
Damn.
You know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
if you're using it compulsively, and it's harming you in some way,
right?
May not be physically, may not be, emotionally, but it could be harming you mentally.
I mean, it could be as simple as you're not getting anything out of it and you're spending money on unhealthy shit.
Yeah,
that's harming you.
Exactly.
I don't think it does anything. Like,
if it's compulsive, it's addictive.
Yeah, like if I'm, but like the way I'm looking at it, like where I'm just like,
I gotta have it to change my mindset.
It's pretty compulsive.
Yeah, that's for sure. Damn, dude, I'm gonna start. Maybe this is what I'm looking for. Yeah, I'll start with these. I'll just take one tomorrow. 50. No,
I stopped drinking coffee in the morning. Like, it's been a couple months now. I drink, well, it's not that much better for you, but just black tea. But I don't know. It was kind of a cool little ritual. I switched it up. I started getting up early, and I was like, I can't just dump coffee directly in me. So I was like a little milder with some tea, and then I was eating some cream of wheat.
Nice.
Sick little ritual.
Yeah.
Sick reward system that, like, you've been talking about, how you're like, you're getting nutrition and you're getting a reward system because you're taking care of yourself.
I switched to yerba mate from coffee.
I like yerba.
Yeah.
What's that?
Yerba's good.
So my mom is from Argentina, and I've got a lot of family down there. And yerba mate is kind of like...
Is that in the weird little thing?
In the gourd with the metal straw and the tea leaves, and you pour it in. So I never really liked drinking it that way because it's so complicated in the morning, and I don't always have a lot of time. So I have it shipped over from Argentina and in bulk, and then I just put it in a French press, and I'll just French press my yerba mate and put it in a thermos. And I've definitely noticed that it doesn't have the same effect on my gut. Like, it's a lot less. It's got more antioxidants in it than coffee. It's not as... It doesn't feel like it makes me as jittery. I don't have to add a bunch of crap to it. It's not bitter.
Yeah, yerba's...
Are you looking for any type of reward in your morning with the caffeine?
Not really. I just enjoy having a warm drink, with the job I have. Like, a lot of times I get up at 4, go up to the ski resort, jump on my snowmobile. It's still dark out, rip up to the top of the mountain and, get the lift started and make sure everything's good. And then I'll just have a cup of yerba mate while I watch the sun come up. It's just a really nice way to start the morning.
Damn, bro.
Sounds like it.
Yeah.
Damn.
Yeah. What that's funny. Compare that to your old ways. Just a quick snapshot. Compare the old morning routine when you were a substance abuser. Because you got 2 years sober now, right?
Yeah, a little over 2 years.
So were you using something to get up?
Oh, yeah. Well, the first thing in the morning I do is my drug of choice was marijuana.
Yeah.
And so I'd get up in the morning and I just start compulsively smoking weed. Smoking it, vaping it. And that was kind of my 2 ways of getting it in.
What was the reward on that?
It just helped me numb.
Yeah.
It helped me numb and disassociate from my feelings.
Think it helped you get like connect like spiritually?
Oh no.
Yeah.
Because again, like it's how you used it. And you know, marijuana historically throughout society was used in rituals, like in South America, where it was available by native peoples to enhance, dissolve the barriers between our identity that we create and the beyond.
Right.
And so it was used as part of like a ritual enhancing substance.
Right.
That's how it was meant to be used, with the guidance of a shaman or a spiritual leader.
And that wouldn't be compulsion.
No, not in the way that they used it.
Right.
But, you know, in today's society, the type of substances that, you know, are made from marijuana, the types of marijuana, it's just such scientific now. The way it's developed is so
like
scientific.
The oils in the pen.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just different.
And it's a lot stronger.
So you'd smoke it and it just numb you out?
Yep. I just would disassociate all day.
Damn.
Yeah, damn.
Isn't that wild?
Dude, it's crazy.
Compared to who you are now.
Oh, I'm a completely different person than I was 2.5 years ago.
Yeah.
Like completely. And again, it all comes down to unconscious existence versus conscious existence.
Yeah. How early?
I love that.
How early did you get into taking yourself out of reality? Like, so, I am interested in Alaska.
Yeah.
So I want you to talk about that. You know, he's from Alaska.
Yeah, we talked a little bit before.
Yeah. So you never met him.
No, I don't know how we missed each other though. Because the timeline was like barely.
Yeah.
You weren't here when I was here.
He was here right before me, like pretty soon before.
Because we were talking. I remember you talking about starting a podcast, and we came in this room, and there was nothing in here.
Oh yeah.
From the ground zero.
Yeah, that was right before my time then. Yeah.
So I think I finished right before you started coming, probably.
So is weed pretty prevalent in Alaska?
Yeah, you know, Alaska.
Everything's prevalent in Alaska, isn't it?
Oh man, yeah. Drug addiction, all that, substance abuse was always really bad. And you know, I grew up in a small religious cult in Alaska that got started back in the 70s called The Move. And
whoa.
Yeah.
We got to look that up.
Yeah, it's totally, there's a Wikipedia page. The whole thing.
This type of shit. Dude, I'm so interested in that type of shit.
So, like, since you were just a little kid, like you grew up in this cult.
Yeah, I was born there.
Wow.
Well, I was born in Fairbanks Memorial Hospital, but, you know.
Yeah.
Lived there my whole life until I was 21.
So your mom and dad, just how'd they get into it? Do you know?
Yeah. So my dad.
Dude, I found the Wikipedia.
Yeah.
Do you want me to read the Wikipedia description?
If you want.
I think that you tell me if this is accurate. The Move, or the Move of God/Spirit, is a non-denominational Christian charismatic group founded in the 1960s by former Baptist preacher Sam Fife. Characterized as a cult by some, and involved communal living, strict shepherding hierarchies, and apocalyptic wilderness message teachings, with followers establishing farms in Alaska, Canada, and Colombia. Damn. Is that it? It might be it.
Yeah.
Sounds like it.
That's it.
Sorry.
No, that's it.
So how'd your parents get into that?
Yeah, so my dad grew up in a military family. A lot of my family is predominantly military. My grandmother and grandfather are Sicilian immigrants and came over and were involved in Korean War, Vietnam War, and I always heard that my grandma was in World War II, but I never actually found out for certain.
Right.
But she was in a communications group.
Right.
And was involved in basically switchboard operator.
Right.
And my grandfather was a quartermaster, and he was extremely alcoholic and ended up getting dishonorably discharged for punching out an officer in a poker game.
Right.
Wow.
And so my dad was moved all over the country, and basically he got involved. They were living in Delaware at the time, and he met Sam Fife. He went to a revival meeting because that was back when the big revival movement was happening in America.
Right.
And Sam Fife was a revival minister.
Whoa.
And my dad was 19. He went to a revival meeting, and that's how he got involved in the move.
Wow.
And when in 1972, there was a group of people collectively known as the elders that were looking for land to found a apocalyptic community, like prepping for the apocalypse, basically. So it was during the Homestead Act when the government was giving away land in Alaska to get more people to settle there.
Right.
And it was after the World War II movement when the Japanese invaded through Alaska, through the Aleutian chain.
Right.
The federal government realized that the United States and Canada are vulnerable through Alaska.
Right.
So the military built the Alaska Highway. They established all the military bases up there, Fort Greely, Fort Wainwright, Elmendorf, and Eielson Air Force Base,
Right.
which is where a lot of the most sophisticated technology in the country is and where they test it.
Wow.
Because they can do bombing. There's a bombing range up there. They have all the F-35s and F-22s when they first come out. They do all of their test flights, a lot of them up there. And then special forces go up there and do their cold weather training at Fort Greely.
Wow.
And there's an entire missile defense system built into the ground up there. And there's also the weather, what's that called? Starts with an H.
Go weather hub.
HARP.
Yeah.
HARP is up there.
How'd you know that?
Because he said weather.
Yeah, weather manipulation.
Weather manipulation.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And that's all up there in Alaska because they can test with no people and no oversight.
So is that weather, like there's a billboard right now saying something about like refilling up the Great Salt Lake through these weather
program.
Is that real?
Yeah. Yeah.
I've never really studied it.
Yeah.
I mean, bro, they've been doing that since like 2010.
I know it's
They just
a thing.
didn't tell anybody about it. They've just been doing it.
And there's a lot of really strange phenomena that happens up there. Like personally, I remember one time I was working down in Soldotna, Alaska on the hospital. And I was driving along. There's a big point of land out there across the bay from Anchorage, and there's a big volcano. And I was driving my car at night, and I saw like 10 glowing balls of light just come down out of the sky, all at the same speed, travel down and disappear behind the volcano. That was like the one thing I've seen, but there's lots of other people who have seen all kinds of weird extraterrestrial activity, and nobody knows if it's actual real extraterrestrials or if it's tied to military testing technologies up there.
Okay. Jeez. That is wild, bro.
Dude, yeah, there's some crazy stuff up there in Alaska.
And so what was it like? Like, was it the only thing I can relate a cult to, or like something like that, is it's like the people in southern Utah.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
You know, like the branch off of the polygamists. You know,
Right. Yep.
right there in I think it's called Colorado City. It's right on the border of. It's like right outside of Utah. It's kind of a weird little city, but it's a polygamous community.
Okay.
And a lot of them travel into St. George. So when you're in St. George, you see a lot of them, and they're all dressed in the clothes, like the old style kind of
Are you talking
pioneer
about
clothes.
like by Powell?
Yeah,
Like out by
Colorado
Lake Powell?
City, that little
what's
town.
That town called? I know what that town.
It's called Colorado City.
Colorado City. Okay,
Yeah. And and like nice people. My buddy was telling me, so he was a builder, and he said like, dude, they're always looking for they call them pligs, like polygamous, and they're like the best builders.
Really?
So like they'll come in with like a framing crew, dude, and frame up a house.
Kind of like the Amish.
Yeah, like it's similar. I don't know a whole lot, but it's just that branch off of the LDS Church, that, and they still believe in the Book of Mormon. They still believe in a lot, but they're still practicing polygamy.
Got it.
It's wild.
Yeah.
That's the only, so what was it like growing up in
Dry Creek.
yeah. Is that where you grew up?
That was
Creek?
the name of the community.
Right.
Yeah.
Damn.
There was a few others around.
Yeah.
But Dry Creek was the one I grew up in.
Right.
It was interesting. So like I was born in 1988 and that was kind of like the community hadn't existed for that long, like maybe 10 years or something, maybe a little longer. But basically there was a lot of like rituals, like just to daily life to make it function. And then also spiritual rituals. The community, we had a main building called the Tabernacle, of course, which was kind of in the center of the building, just a big log structure that all the guys got together and built. And the society there was very polarized when I was younger. It was, you had the men doing the masculine work, the hard physical labor, going out hunting, hauling wood, anything that required a lot of strength was the men's job. And then there was the feminine work, which was like what you'd imagine, like
sewing,
cooking.
Yeah. Taking care of the kids. All that. And it was very communal, and it worked in that sense. Yeah.
Because everyone had their assigned tasks that they would do just to get the community to function on a daily basis. And all the men would work together and all the women would work together.
Yeah.
And the girls would go with the women and teach them about, the necessary things that they had to learn to make their side function. And all the boys would go with the men and learn about the necessary things they had to do to make that side function.
Yeah.
So in that way, it was actually pretty cohesive and worked pretty well.
Right.
And we would all meet every morning, except for Saturday morning in the Tabernacle at 7:00 and have devotions. And everybody in the community had a day when they would do devotions.
Yeah.
Holy
What's
shit.
a devotion?
It's just
Like bearing your testimony, or you had taught a lesson?
basically it's like whatever you felt the Spirit was moving on you to say through the week.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's cool, but holy shit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
So you just all kinds of random things, like
Yeah.
whatever you felt God was speaking to you that day.
Yeah.
And if it was your day to do devotions, you'd put together a little 5-minute talk about it, and you'd get up and share to the community what you felt. And that was how it was every morning.
Yeah. It's kind of somewhat similar to LDS. I mean, LDS believes in continued revelation and receiving revelation inside your home,
Yeah.
fundamental
like
Christian
through the
properties.
priesthood.
Yeah.
Yeah. But
There's a
just-
lot of similarities I've noticed between Mormonism and, like it says, non-denominational
Right.
on the Wikipedia page.
Yeah.
But I think when it says non-denominational, that's referring to like they didn't subscribe to like Catholicism or Lutheran doctrine or any specific organized religion. That was their whole thing. It's like we're getting away from organized religion and we're starting our own thing.
Yeah, but their higher power was Christ.
Their higher power was Christ. Yes.
Okay. So you grew up with your higher power, Christ.
Yes.
Yeah.
Very much so.
And you studied the Bible.
Oh, I had to 2 hours a day.
Wow. So so there was a lot of that you had to study.
I had to go to Bible class. That was the first class of the day in school because they had their own private school called Living Word Academy. And so I'd do the devotions, then go to school. First class of the day is Bible study for 2 hours.
How are you even normal?
Oh, bro. I don't know. Normal's pretty relative.
I hear you.
Well,
Damn.
Well, that's why, he's about the most interesting man I've ever met.
This is not what I expected.
But the reason why you're so interesting is because of all these experiences.
Oh, for sure.
So it makes you wonder, that's part of your journey.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
I was always taught that I was like, a divine being, that I had a special calling on my life, that there was, you know, something for me, a task that God had.
That's the same thing they taught us, just different.
Yeah.
My Bible teacher always used to say, "You're the salt of the earth."
Yeah,
you know?
yeah.
And so in my mind growing up, I always had this kind of like idea that I was somehow superior to other people who didn't live in the community.
Yeah.
And they'd always tell us, you
Sounds
know,
familiar.
you're part of the first fruits company. So if you know anything about the scriptures,
Right.
like I think there's probably some similarities in the Book of Mormon. But the first fruits company is, if you read in the Book of Revelations, you know, there's the, when, you know, Christ returns, there's a subset of the population.
144.
Yeah,
Is
144. Well, the 144 are supposedly virgins too.
Right.
In the Bible. That's what I was taught. So, but you know, part of the first fruits company that you're going to get called back to be with God as like in an elevated position.
Yeah, like
in heaven.
Yeah, the upper echelon, the first ones to get lifted off when the earth burns or whatever.
Whatever, yeah.
Yeah.
And so we would do devotions, and then every Wednesday was church service at night, and then every Sunday was church service.
Right.
And on Wednesday, it was open sharing. Any member of the congregation who was an adult could get up and share. And then Sundays were for the elders only.
Yeah. Like the elders, are they the people that have been called to positions?
They were called by God to positions of leadership in the community.
Right.
And there was about 12 of them, I'd say.
Right.
And it was actually pretty progressive. There was mostly male, but there was like 3 women or 2 women who were elders my whole life.
Really?
As well.
So they allowed women to be elders.
Yep. In that area, they were pretty progressive.
Right.
When it comes to that. It wasn't all just men.
Yeah.
And, you know, we were always taught respect women, you know, respect authority, respect the law. They always stuck pretty closely to those tenets, you might say.
You know, what's interesting is, so you talked about how they put the men and women in different roles, like the motherly, the male, masculine. Well, it's, you know, in the church, there's something called the family proclamation in the church that I go, the LDS church that I go to. And it's just it's a beautiful little thing that the 12 apostles put together. And it just talks about the divine role of a mother and the divine role of a father. Yeah. Neither are above each other. They both work together, and but they have, you know, the father's kind of the provider, the mother helps with
He's
with
the
the
priest.
kid. Yeah, you know, and a lot of people in this day and age are fighting. They're mad about that. But I think a nice family with the husband knowing his role and the wife knowing her role, and they both work together, and that blends. Like my wife will go up and she'll go do the yard or pick up the shit, you know, in the back, you know, and I can make some, you know, I mean, I take care of the kids, you know, so all blends, but I feel like society nowadays is trying to say oh, it's bad that we label anybody to be the mother or label anybody to be the father.
Well, that goes really deep.
You know what I'm saying?
That actually goes really deep, because I don't believe that that's an organic development. I guess I'll just leave it at that.
Yeah.
That's not an organic development.
What, that people
the nuclear family isn't tried and true perfect setup.
Yeah.
Like the whole feminist movement and all of that stuff, it all goes back. That was all planted and planned for to get us to strip us of all of our most dearest passionate connections, which is family. They don't want that.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I'm gonna go there.
No, I like it.
And say they and do the whole thing, but that's those aren't organic ideas. Those have been planted strategically to weaken us.
Because it's my wife is dude, my family doesn't work without my wife. You know what I'm saying?
No way.
She's just and like, but and I bring my together. You know, it's like there's nothing wrong with that. No. There's nothing wrong with you know what I'm saying? So do you think that what you were taught with that? I mean, it could get fanatical though. Like if you took it a fanatical direction and be like, you never should go out, you know, like, and it got real fanatical with it, where women were just, I could see that, but that's not really what the church, my church promotes at all.
No, it's not.
No.
Yeah.
Well, I think, so for me, like it's part of my recovery journey, but I kind of discovered, you know, would have been quite a few years ago now, but I discovered this book called The Kabbalion, which I have actually read quite a bit. And it talks about, nobody knows who actually wrote it. It just was written by 3 initiates, which is what it kind of says in the prologue. It was written like the turn of the century, you know, no one actually knows who wrote it. Right. But it talks about these principles that govern reality. And one of the principles, I kind of wrote a little bit of stuff about it, kind of to get my thoughts in order. But one of the principles, principle 7, is the principle of gender. And masculine and feminine principles exist in everything. Creation requires both. Yeah. The masculine is primarily wired towards direction and logic, and the feminine is wired towards receptivity and flow. And then I wrote, you are not male or female. You contain both dimensions. Yeah. Modern imbalance shows up as hyper-masculine control systems and hyper-feminine emotional reactivity. Yeah, and what that results in is loss of inner union.
Yeah.
Right.
And what I think you're describing, and what, you know, kind of I experienced growing up in this society, and what I think we see a lot in, like, if you look at people who live in more tribal environments, like in African villages and stuff like that, people just naturally accept the body that they've been born in when they're emotionally stable and working as part of a cohesive unit to further the goal, which is survival of the species.
Right.
And that's where I think it comes into play, is when people can work together and there's not one above the other in any way. It's just
they're
people
just doing different things.
Like
obviously a man has been born with faster twitch muscles, more muscle, bigger bones, different hips, more explosive power as a man, right? And you know, and so like that's just the way you were born.
It's the way we evolved as
and so
beings.
That dude in one of those environments, the man is gonna be the hunter,
right?
Yeah,
because it's gonna, you know,
survival.
So,
logic.
But women can have babies. Right? And so that's why society is totally geared toward, I mean, we evolved as a species to protect the woman, to further society.
Exactly. That's ingrained in our DNA as men too, to provide and protect.
Right. And that's why I kind of laugh when I look at the way things are kind of going today. And I just see it as how far we've come as a species to where we don't even have to worry about that anymore. Because like growing up, you know, we were very close to nature. We didn't have a lot of technology to help us survive.
This is in Alaska.
Yeah, in Alaska, in the village. Like we didn't have running water. We didn't have electricity. Wow. We didn't have a grocery store. We had like 2 trucks that we could use. The nearest town was like hours away up a little 2-lane highway. Wow. And like if it's 40 below outside, you're not driving to the grocery store to get food. You're not turning on the faucet and having water come out. But you have to figure out a way to get water, get heating, get food. You know, the basics of survival. And that's where men and women naturally accepted their roles, because nature dictated that unless you behaved according to the way you were programmed to survive, you died.
Damn.
Wow.
And people growing up, there were people who died.
Yeah.
Like our neighbors, their daughter got pneumonia and couldn't get to the doctor and she died.
Damn.
And
Yeah.
like that's an extreme example. But ultimately, if you break it down to its basic components, the reason that men and women exist and the roles that they have developed in society was for literal survival against nature, or with nature, I should say.
And so nowadays, fast forward into, you know, the experience you had as a kid, and nowadays when we're in this like late stages of capitalism where consumerism and everybody can get what they want whenever. And do you think because there's not that survival instinct as much, that's why it's all trying to get blended and everybody's arguing and fighting over the gender stuff and what role men should play, because there's no, you know, because of how far everything's progressed in like this capitalist society. You know what I'm saying?
I think that's part of it, but I also feel like what we were talking about earlier, where you said that some of this stuff has been engineered.
Yeah.
I do feel like some of this has been engineered, and I feel like yes, there's no longer a need for actual, like we're a lot. It's easier to get what you need for survival.
Yeah.
Now, so it's not necessity as dictated by nature.
Right.
So, and because of the power structures that have evolved over, you know, centuries, there's, you know, we hear about all the time, the ultra wealthy, blah, blah, blah. The reason they're in the position that they're in, and this is all the way down through history, you see it in, you know, with the Israelites in Exodus, in the Bible, where, you know, the Israelites were slaves to the Egyptians, free labor. And like the most valuable, I've learned over the years that the most valuable commodity on the planet is the labor and the energy that humans produce and have.
Right.
So there's a subset of society who has engineered a system where they can benefit and be placed in the position that they're at of ultra luxury because of all of our labor.
Yeah.
And so that is also part of why the society has evolved the way it has, is because there's people at the top who want it to stay that way.
Mm-hmm. And do you think they just get weird up there too? Because if you look at the people that are at the top, they're like all of their kids are trans.
Yeah.
How they're all like all these celebrities and stuff have trans kids. How is that? That's not that common of a thing, but yet all these celebrities have trans kids.
Mm-hmm.
Don't you think that they like, you're like, it's kind of like abuse in a way?
Oh, well, I mean, obviously they're still human beings and they still have the same thoughts and feelings and emotions and physiology that the rest of us have. And when you're put into that position, they live in a different reality than we do.
Yeah.
So they're going to develop all kinds of strange idiosyncrasies and ways of thinking because they don't have the normal cause and effect of interactions with people on a daily basis.
And interaction with adversity.
Yeah, interaction with the environment and with people.
Yeah. And so, like, I feel like at that point, they just kind of want a trans kid, so they just move kids into that.
Yeah,
I mean, I could be wrong.
It depends, because it depends. I'm trying to wrap my head around exactly who you're talking about, but what I'm interpreting it as is like the things that go on, especially within like the entertainment industry, which is the most powerful influence on the planet.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
It's very, very valuable to whom you are referring to.
Yeah.
Maybe pulling any sort of strings. Those people, in order to get into the positions that they're in, they go through a lot of like conditioning, I guess, or like grooming, and they're used, and there's a lot of like ritualistic stuff that goes on for these celebrities to have money and power and influence the way they do. And if they don't influence us in the correct way, they don't get what they don't get what they're after, or like they get shut down. That's why people get shut down when they speak against
canceling.
Yeah,
they call it.
Yeah. And so it's like in this upper echelon thing, I fully believe that it's like a spiritual, it's a spiritual warfare that we're in for sure. And these guys are like, they are using the devil and all his powers and all his ritualistic, demonic energy that this place is built on. This whole earth and dimension is a spiritual dimension of like it's malleable, and there's evil forces here, and they're like, they're pulling strings.
It's wild. And then, we talked about it this morning, but it's like we're getting to a level where so many people are suffering though.
Yes.
A level of society where people are waking up. Like they're waking up to the truth about these phones, about like, damn, I stay too much on these phones. I suffer. So I feel like it's getting ready to, people are waking up to being like, dude, that's not true.
Yeah.
That's not true what you're saying. Another thing I'm noticing with these people online is like they're saying stuff that's so not true, and they don't even believe it themselves. They're just getting it like the shock and awe effect. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So, but people are onto it, I think. You know what I mean? I think we're getting ready to turn the corner where people are going to, people are either going to I think people are going to start searching for God and like a higher consciousness, at least presence. Yeah. Don't you think?
Oh, I agree.
Because suffering is, dude, you just watch it in these kids. I'm around these kids all the time, like every day, and you just see these kids, like they just can't. They're scared. I mean, it's the anxiety generation. These kids are so scared, And like you were talking this morning about and we can go into that. But
I wrote some stuff down about it. Yeah,
just about this morning about how this younger generation can't get work. They can't live the American dream. Mm-hmm. Like they can't buy a house.
I'm like right there on the cusp. I'm in that position.
Yeah,
I'm having to freaking pull out some miracles out of my ass to get up above poverty.
I study the Book of Mormon, and I've been studying it pretty hard. And in the Book of Mormon, it's like the pride cycle. That's all it is, dude. Mm-hmm. All the Book of Mormon is a people who found God and started living healthy, the family, practicing a higher power in their lives, aligning their values with Christ, and then they prosper, and then they slowly forget.
No, that's the whole Old Testament.
Yeah, the same thing. Yeah, same thing
with the Jews.
Same thing with the in the Book of Mormon. It's the Book of Mormon takes place over in America. It's the New World, right? It's the new. And it's the same thing. There's Nephites and Lamanites. By the end of the Book of Mormon, the people completely wipe themselves out, and there's only one dude left in the Nephite camp, and the Lamanites are just this, But it's wild. But you look at the world today, I mean, it's the pride cycle, and people are going to suffer so bad in that pride. I mean, it's the same thing with addiction. Mm-hmm. You get wrapped up in addiction. You suffer so hard. I can't smoke weed any longer. I can't take kratom any longer. My life is so shitty. I don't feel this. I need to make a change. I got to find I'm powerless. I got to find a power greater than myself. And then we let go of that pride and we take on a higher power. Well, then what? Usually you see it in addiction even. That person does pretty well for a while. They get some shit. And
things start getting good.
And then they forget, and they quit working on their connection with their higher power.
Yeah.
And then they relapse and burn it all down again.
Yep. That's why I've always said that, maintaining that connection with God, higher consciousness, people use all different kinds of terms to describe it, it's like a daily it's a daily task. You got to do it every day. You got to come up with ways and reasons to pursue that.
Yeah.
To maintain that stability. And like, I've got so many thoughts about it, like, but I'm very like practical. I'm a pretty practical guy.
Yeah.
So I'm always looking for like reasons and then like ways to do this that can be done on a daily basis and don't require a whole lot of like ritualistic types of things.
Right.
I like that. Yeah.
So I've come up with some pretty good.
Talk to me about you becoming the observer. Oh. You know, I want people to like your day, like you know, the observer of your thoughts. Let's start there with that. Like,
okay.
Because isn't that everything?
Yeah.
Isn't that like if you started there with your spiritual work where you said, you know what, today I'm going to watch my thoughts. I'm not going to be them. Yeah. I'm going to watch them. Isn't that the first step towards holding hands with your higher power full time?
Yes, I agree.
Because if I'm trapped in I am my thoughts, and I like I talked about my morning when I'm full of anxiety and just if I stay there, I can't feel God. I can't use God as my drug.
Right.
But if I back up and say, you know what, I'm the observer now. Well, there's that one. I'm not going to go there. There's that one. There's that one. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I just stepping into the day, and I'm just every room I step into, I'm the observer. Oh, I'm going to go talk to this kid. I'm listening to him.
Yeah,
but I'm watching, and I'm not really trying to attach to thought. I'd like to hear what you have to say about that.
So, I follow this guy who lives in India. His name is Sadhguru. And he's like he's a really cool guy.
Yeah.
Like. And
I think I know who you're talking about.
Yeah, he's pretty famous.
Instagram, yeah.
He's all over.
Yeah.
But anyway, he has a lot of like practical solutions for how to maintain stability in such a chaotic world. And one of the things that I learned from kind of some of his teachings is that, like I was talking about before, about conscious existence versus unconscious existence.
Yeah.
And he kind of says that basically we live in a time when technology and everything that's happening, it's creating, people are becoming more aware, and technology is allowing people to become more aware than our ability to develop ways to cope with life. Yeah. And like basically some of the ways that I learned is like breaking it down, like I wrote it down here. So like stabilize the body. So gravity and structure, like posture in the spine. The spine is the main antenna of the system, and we're electrical beings. And he talks about you sit and stand with your spine naturally erect, and then spend 10 to 15 minutes a day seated upright, even without meditation. If the spine is not stable, energy will be erratic. Damn. And this directly reduces emotional volatility, mental looping, and fatigue. And then we've heard about grounding.
Damn, bro. So this is interesting. So like when I'm trapped in thought, full of anxiety, I'll in my inner voice, I will say, all right, it's time to become the man in the back. Mm-hmm. And when I say that, I'll posture up.
Yeah.
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 I'll posture up, and I'll get control of my mind.
Yeah.
Yeah, bro.
And it's wild that you just talked about the spine, because that's my first cue. And I posture up and I get some confidence.
Yeah, confidence.
And I become that man in the back, and now I am becoming the observer and the watcher, and I'm going to spin. And but when you've been addicted to thought, like I'm talking about, like before you posture up and you've been addicted to thought, bro, you better set some serious intention to become the observer, because you've been addicted to thought. So you're not gonna. It's gonna keep coming back in.
Yeah.
But if you compete with it and you stay the observer and you get anchored to your breath and kind of remain there, damn, bro,
It
gets easy you'll stop being addicted to thought, and then
Yeah.
you can be the man in the back full time.
Yeah.
That's sick.
Yeah.
Because I naturally just did that. That makes a lot of sense to me.
Well, because we're electrical beings, right? And we have. So I talked a little bit earlier about how people have talked about like we're in the age of Aquarius. We've like with the zodiac. When you go back to like some of these old teachings, the Egyptians and the Aztecs, they invented this way of breaking down the movement of the stars in the sky and relating it to the earth.
Yeah.
Even back then, and they came up with this zodiac calendar, and obviously, you know, I don't believe that the stars are going to come and save us or anything like that.
Right.
But one of the things that like this ancient calendar talked about, like we just transitioned out of the age of Pisces into the age of Aquarius, and the age of Pisces, people talk about how the planet is rising in consciousness and human awareness is increasing. And the way that kind of relates to me is that I've seen a greater questioning of authority and inherited beliefs, more awareness of trauma, systems of control, and psychological conditioning. And I've seen a push in society towards truth, transparency, and self-direction. And basically, the age of Pisces is roughly the last 2,000 years, and it is associated with faith, sacrifice, and martyrdom, hierarchies and saviors, blind belief, obedience, and endurance, suffering framed as necessary or noble. And in societies, this looked like strong religious institutions, top-down power structures, people taught to endure injustice quietly, and meaning coming from outside the self rather than from within. And this era produced deep compassion, but also control through guilt, fear, and authority.
Yeah.
And the age of Aquarius is associated with individual sovereignty, innovation, technology, and networks, truth over tradition, and collective intelligence over centralized power. And
so you're saying we're in moving into the Aquarius?
I think so, like as a society. And the way that that's manifesting itself is that people are rejecting these beliefs in
like the nuclear family belief, like
yeah.
Okay.
And belief in like institutions. We're seeing it all over the country right now. The uprising, people are trying to get back to the grassroots, build communities. But I think a lot of people, they haven't developed the ability to be stable within themselves in an unstable environment, an unstable world.
And they focus externally and they don't have their own house in order.
No, they're looking outside. And what I've learned...
that's what I see with all these people. Like, what are they doing? Protesting. And they're just like, damn, how's your family doing? Like, are you doing good? Why do you care so much about this outside thing that you're not going to be able to control? What you can control is like, how's your family doing?
Yeah.
You know
How are you doing?
Yeah. Like, I mean, I see some of the people, I can tell they're not doing good. Like, they just seem crazy, you know? But like, why are they so caught up in these causes and these movements that are, I don't know. I don't quite understand it, but it's crazy how that's all going on.
Yeah. And like part of what you were talking about when you were talking about my journey, learning to be the observer, what I had to realize was that I had to start being able to look within myself and calm my mind, get out of the mental loop. And that's where I started integrating some of these practices from these, like from yogic cultures. And a lot of it comes down to just like sitting erect, spending time in a quiet place alone, practicing meditation, practicing not associating with my thoughts.
Yeah.
So like I started to view my thoughts as like a river, you know, and I'm standing on the river bank, watching my thoughts floating by as like little boats or something. And I had the choice to like jump in and fully engage with that and get swept away, or I could stay and just watch it go by. And the more I practiced that, the more I began to realize that most of my suffering on a daily basis came from thinking about the past and the things that had happened to me and associating with that and recreating those feelings, or imagining the future and thinking about future events that might happen and how they could negatively affect me. And I began to realize that, there's no solution. You can't come up with a solution for something that doesn't exist. The past is the past. The future hasn't happened. How can you come up with a solution for something that hasn't happened or has already gone past your experience,
That's so good.
Yeah. So
That's
good.
fucking sick.
Yeah.
And that's when I began to just focusing on the present, what I can control. I can't control other people. I can't control people, places, and things.
Yeah.
The only thing that I can control is myself.
Yeah.
And the way that I respond to things.
Yeah.
And the more I begin to internalize that, the more I begin to recognize I don't need to associate with this emotional and psychological trauma
Yeah.
and pain. I can separate myself from that mentally and move beyond my thoughts. And that's when I started to experience God in a new way. And I started to realize there is a place beyond our thoughts, beyond our minds, beyond anything that we can see here and now with our five senses.
Right.
And that's where God lives.
Yeah.
And when you can transcend that and create space between your mind and what's happening, you begin to recognize that you are a being, you are a consciousness. And if you can move into the space where God exists, that's when you start to feel that love and that connection and that, in yoga, they call it the bliss state.
Yeah.
And that's where you can go when you get to the point where you can separate yourself from your mind. It takes time and it's difficult.
Well, you keep using the word practice. So my higher power is Christ.
Right.
And this stuff that you're talking about, I have been practicing. And it's been the greatest work that I've done. Because how do it talks about in the scriptures about capturing the mind of Christ.
Right.
Okay, well, think about how Christ acted in the New Testament, bro. Slow. He took walks often to have prayer experiences. You never got the sense in studying the New Testament, and even when he visited the Nephites in the Book of Mormon, you never got the sense that he was scattered, that he was not present. Even if you watch, have you ever watched The Chosen?
I'm not sure if I've seen that.
It's just a show about Christ and his ministry.
Okay.
But I guess is what I'm saying is you never get the idea that Christ lived in the past or was tripping on the future.
Right.
Yeah. Even when he was getting ready to get crucified. Mm-hmm. And they cut Peter's ear. Remember? And he just said, "Hey, chill out." And he heals his ear. And he's just right there with it all. Didn't lose his cool, And so, so for me, trying to experience the mind of Christ and let the atonement change me, there is some practice of being the observer and not allowing myself to be attached to the future and attached to the past and dealing with right here. And when I get there, like you said, I experience the Holy Ghost and I feel like I'm holding hands with Christ, and I'm not afraid of anything.
No.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
With all
it's just easy. It's just easy. But staying there
is the difficult part.
And
that's where, the practice going back to it. Like when I'm doing my meditations, I'm always coming back to the breath.
Yeah.
because at the end of the day, we're physical beings and we exist in a physical world that is kind of like our bodies are 60 to 70% water, and the moon, the gravitational flow of the moon with the earth and the planets, that all affects the oceans. Our body is like a little ocean.
Right.
And we have hormones and we have, our blood and everything that's in us that moves with the gravity and the way the planets align. And that's all affects our mood. It affects our nervous system, and it affects the way we interact with people, places, and things around us.
Yeah.
And part of what that practice that you're describing, becoming one with the mind of Christ, all that is we're gaining the ability to increase our awareness. We're not going to stop having emotions.
Yeah.
We're not going to stop having feelings
and stop being hungry and stop having to piss.
Those are basic things that our body needs to continue to function. But what this does is it creates the ability to have awareness, to see, oh, I'm having anger right now. Yeah. I'm having fear right now.
Yeah.
And instead of associating with that and being like, I'm angry, I'm afraid, I've started to learn how to see it as fear is happening to me.
Yeah.
Anger is happening to me.
Wow.
That's sick.
And that's where the observer, like you mentioned, like you talk about, the consciousness that we are, has the ability to have the self-awareness to be able to identify those feelings and emotions as they're happening.
Yeah.
And choose. That's the thing that differentiates us of all the animal kingdom as human beings, is we have a choice in those moments.
Yeah.
That we can engage with that and become angry and become afraid.
Yeah.
And then once we engage with those feelings and those emotions, we begin to lose the ability to have that choice to behave in the opposite of what those feelings and emotions are dictating.
And really, that is when relapse happens.
That is when relapse happens. That is exactly when relapse happens.
You get tangled in your thoughts.
And then the old reward systems start to...
Yeah, like basically you're blocking yourself off from God. You can't feel God. And so if I can't feel God for too long, then I want something to help me feel better.
That.
Yeah.
Feel better. Yeah.
That is wild, bro. This is perfect. You know what the podcast... It's called the Man in the Back podcast, but basically the man in the back is the observer.
Yeah.
And that's why it's like perfect that we're, that's
Yeah.
why I really wanted to have you on, because I knew you'd be able to just attack this.
Well,
I can tell you practice it.
Well, like there's a lot of different ways to describe it. Like people call it God, like in the Kabbalion, which is kind of like, it's the foundation for they call it Hermeticism of this, and in there they call it the all, which they basically describe it as a universal consciousness, a field.
Isn't that what language is that? Isn't that like the word all?
Well, I'm not sure. I just read it in English.
Okay.
I don't know any other languages, but and in like physics, it's called the unified field.
Right.
Yeah.
There's lots of different ways to conceptualize this.
Right.
I choose to think of it as the mind of Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
But basically it's part of, like, we're not outside of it. We're in it. We're part of it.
Yeah.
And what we're doing as like human beings when we're in that state of flow that you're describing is we possess the ability to make the choice.
Yeah.
Whether or not to act impulsively, compulsively, or we have self-awareness and decide I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to continue down this path. I'm going to take a different path.
I'm going to posture up.
Yeah.
I'm going to become the observer. I've been doing this. Posture up. I set a timer on my phone. So like around 9:00 every day, I have from 9 to 10:30 is my prep period. But I'll posture up 3, 2, 1, boom. And I hit go on my timer. So that's the cue. I'm the observer. No more thought. No more attaching to thought. I can see the thought, but I ain't thinking about it.
Mm-hmm.
I can see it. And I'll be walking, and I'll usually start and I'll walk and I'll be like, oh, there's that. All right, bro, here you go. This is in my head. All right, bro, here you go, man. Man, you got so much to be thankful, bro. Look at your life. Like, damn, look at these clouds. Look at those mountains, those snow peaks. So in my mind, I'm like, I'm the man in the back's talking to me.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So I'll start it that way. And then it's like, and it's full of gratitude, man. You got a good life, bro. That thing you're worried about, just chill out. Let that thing pass. It's cool, bro. You know?
Mm-hmm.
And I'm walking and this is going on in my head. I'm not really thinking. It's just this, I'm allowing this voice to help me with gratitude. And the voice is speaking to me.
Yeah.
The man in the back.
Mm-hmm.
And then I'll roll into some prayer, thanking God. And then I just be the observer and I just stay there. And you know, I walk over back to this little thing and then I'll let the sun hit my eyes and stay right there. I'm listening to the birds. I'm watching the crows on top of the church. And then I walk. So it's a walking meditative experience where I'm allowing this voice and then my talk with God to all happen, you know. Damn, dude.
Yeah, that's sick.
You know, and then once I perform that for a while, when I walk back in and I'm getting ready to work with kids, I'm ready to work with kids.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? I'm not worried about anything, and I get right in and I'm there, and the rest of the day it's pretty easy to hang on to it.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And so that's what you're talking about with meditation.
Yeah. Well, walking meditation is a type of meditation.
Yeah. So would you consider what I am doing right there meditation?
Yes, if that works for you and it gets you into the right state of mind, that is meditation.
Yeah.
And what you're describing is basically a walking meditation, which, like in Buddhism,
Right.
if you research Buddhism and you look at some of these monasteries around the world, part of the day is spent walking in the courtyard in walking meditation. They literally call it that.
Oh, okay.
And that they do what you're describing. Each person in each monastery has its own tenets that you're supposed to follow.
Right.
And sounds like you've developed something that works for you that you're practicing.
Yeah.
And that's the main thing about these types of spiritual practices that I've realized is that there's no one way to do it.
Yeah.
You know, and that's the beauty of being a human being is that there's so many different ways that we can connect with our idea of a higher power. That's why in the Big Book of AA, they call it God as we understand him.
Yeah.
Because not everyone's going to understand it the same way.
Yeah. Yeah. What about reading? So reading usually ends up becoming a part of it. Mm-hmm. I like I said, I've been studying the Book of Mormon, so I kind of do that practice. Mm-hmm. And then I like some scripture study. And then I don't have the social media on my phone. Okay. So I'll feel it prompted. The social media needs to be a part of my life because I like to coach through it, right. Especially like when I'm working with these kids and I feel I'll ask God before I'm like, do you want me to put this content out? Like and it's usually yes, you know, like I feel like someone could hear this, you know what I'm saying? Just like just like this podcast.
Yeah.
I mean, I really look at this podcast as like, I'm not planning on being, wiping my ass with 20s from this podcast. You know what I'm saying? It's more just, first off, I love doing this. This is fun right now.
Yeah, exactly.
But like just putting it out for people, because it's hard to produce it,
It takes time.
But anyway, but I don't have it on my phone. I can't. Because, dude, you want to block yourself from feeling spiritual, dude. Yeah. Scroll for 20 minutes.
Yeah, no doubt.
And so, like, I'll usually make a post and then I delete it. And I'm back and I got my Kindle and I got all my books on there. Like I'm reading Lonesome Dove. So that's one. That's fun. And I love that. And then I got my study about Christ.
Yeah.
But that reading where are you at with reading and putting information in? Because I can tell you're well read. And
I've spent a lot of time reading.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can tell.
Like growing up, sometimes that was the only thing to do to
really
be entertained. Yeah, because like, if it's
you
cold,
don't have a TV?
No, we didn't have TV. No, that was
like ever.
No, that was like a big old no. Like
My
idea of watching a movie was like once or twice a year. Like New Year's Eve was a big one.
Yeah,
the whole community would get together, and one of the things about the community that I used to love growing up was the fellowship that we'd have.
Yeah,
and when you start to take away the things that divide us, like you're talking about social media, gaming, those sorts of things, online technology, none of that existed. And people, we need connection. We crave it as a species.
right.
And way humans evolved is that we would connect with our small tribal group that we lived in.
Yeah.
Right. And there would be like a storyteller, somebody who was really good at telling stories, one of the elders who had all kinds of knowledge. That's where that term came from, now it's kind of associated with like culty type, like, oh, an elder, what? That's crazy. But, all tribes had elders throughout history.
Yeah.
And it just was the people who were older, who had experienced more.
Brethren.
Yeah, and had more life knowledge to share. And that's where their place came in to the tribe. You had the young, strong guys who would fight the wars and protect the population and go out and get the food and do all this stuff. And the women would raise the children and further the species and bring, this sense of softness in. And then the elders provided the wisdom and the guidance and the knowledge that they had acquired through experiences of life.
That's pretty sick.
Yeah.
Like, that's pretty dope. Like, sick in a cool way. Like,
yeah.
Seems right.
Well, that's how we evolved as a species. Like, the young guys would be like, oh, I don't know, like, what do we do in this situation? The elder would be like, oh, well, 20 years ago, this is what we did to get through this.
Yeah.
This is how we survived. And so growing up for me, there was a lot of that. Like there was the older, more mature men and women in the society, village. And, they would, okay, this is how you gut a moose. This is how you, process the meat so that it lasts all winter. This is where we go to get firewood. This is where we go to catch fish. This is the best fishing spot. This is how you doctor a cow. Our milk cow's sick. This is what you do to get through this situation.
That's incredible. You had all these experiences.
Yeah. Like, and my uncle was basically the village blacksmith. I know that sounds corny, but that's literally what he was. And he taught me all about like metalworking and metallurgy and how to like make horseshoes, how to shoe a horse, how to like make a knife, stuff like that. And so over the years, growing up, I acquired a lot of really useful skills. But in today's society, I left the community when I was 22 or 21 and moved out into, the world. They used
was
to
that
call
hard?
It.
Yeah, that's what I want to hear about.
Yeah, it was really tough. It was really hard to integrate. I didn't have the social skills.
What really like pushed you and compelled you to move away from it? Like,
so,
what was it?
I've said a lot of good things about the community, but there was a lot of bad things as well.
Yeah. Can
And
imagine.
like when you live in a society that's bound by strict religious dogma, there's a lot of abuse that can take place because human beings are still human beings.
Yeah.
And not everybody can maintain that mind of Christ all the time like you're talking about.
Yeah.
And everybody struggles with that. It doesn't matter if you go out and live in the wilderness for 40 years.
Yeah.
You're still a human being and you're still going to struggle with daily feelings and emotions.
Yeah.
And so there was a lot of corporal punishment. So like I used to get beat a lot, like in high school, not high school, but like grade school coming up and stuff.
Who would like just random
Teachers
elders?
and just
Yeah,
everybody.
like that. Well, the principal.
It was acceptable.
Yeah, it was acceptable for you to get sent to the principal's office and get spanked.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And there was times when and then there was favoritism. The elders' kids would bully me, and other kids who were lower in the hierarchy of the village, and stuff like that, really basic stuff that you just see in regular society too. But all that stuff happened, right? And there was a lot less oversight because there wasn't the fear of the law getting involved.
Yeah.
Because everything was kept real quiet and in-house. So, a lot of physical violence, a lot of, emotional, mental stuff. If I'm struggling as a teenager, there wasn't really anyone to talk to. It was just pray about it, or, stuff like that. You know? So it wasn't all just happy sunshine all the time.
I bet.
Yeah.
And there was, and then physical labor, there was a lot of we got worked like dogs, free labor. We just worked all the time.
That was
Wow.
One of my jobs growing up was working in the fields. We grew all of our own food. We had 700 acres of land that we literally carved out of the wilderness and farmed with horses. And so it was out there from sunup till sundown, just you see in Little House on the Prairie, plowing the fields and planting all the stuff, the grain, whatever, vegetables, and then keeping it all alive, and then harvesting it all, and then, storing it up for winter, and then hauling wood and putting wood up. And it's all physical when I was younger.
Oh, I can't imagine, bro.
Just working all the time, because that's what you have to do to survive. And so literal surviving took up all of our time as a population. And that's the way it was throughout history.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But there was times when everything was put up, and that was just the way it was. You didn't sit here and think, oh, I got to work so hard today. My life sucks. That was all you knew.
Mm-hmm. Wow. What was your leisure? What'd you look forward to?
When the work was done for the day, we had 100 horses, so
yeah.
I'd have my pick of whatever horse I wanted to ride, and I just go off and go hunting.
Okay.
Ride around in the wilderness.
Wow.
Damn.
Hike around, because we're surrounded by endless forest, as far as the eye can see. That's the way.
So in the summers, was it magical?
I mean, it was pretty magical in the winter too.
Is Alaska magical in the summer?
Oh yeah,
It's probably magical in the winter.
It is, if you can handle the cold.
Yeah.
Yep. It's definitely an amazing place, and there's a real primal feel to it.
Yeah.
That I haven't really seen since moving to Utah. It's just there's too many people. It's too developed.
Yeah.
And everybody owns, all the land is owned. So up there, you can just go off into the wilderness and know that nobody owns it. You're not going to see anybody else, and everything. You can just do whatever.
Yeah.
But here, it's
You run into bears?
Yeah, I ran into bears.
Yeah.
But bears are they're just an animal. You just treat them with respect and stay away from them. And
Yeah.
I never got. I mean, I got kind of threatened a few times, but just like anything, they just are oh yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Whatever, and just leave you alone.
I wonder if bears in Alaska are different from bears in Yellowstone.
No, I'm sure that.
I bet the bear. You think I don't know. Seems
I
like
feel
bears in Alaska are better.
I would imagine that there's probably
safer.
better, and they're probably better and safer because they don't want to come up by us. And the ones in Yellowstone have been
fed and
corrupted.
Yeah,
and
they
they're
have very
interacting-
low interaction with humans.
Yeah, they're interacting too much with humans. in
And most of the
Yellowstone.
bears I ran into, because I grew up in the interior of Alaska,
right.
were interior, mountain grizzlies, which they're smaller, they cover a larger terrain, and they live more solitary lives. And they're much more afraid of humans. If you go down to the coast, you have the coastal brown bears that you see in all the videos and footage of Alaska with all the people right there. They're a lot more inured to humans because they go fish for, salmon and stuff, and people come and take pictures of them. And the reason why you have such low instances of bear attacks in those areas is because the bears have plenty of food. They're not interested in people. They're just eating the salmon, and they're full, and they don't care.
Yeah, that makes sense.
And when you go out, the bears I ran into in the interior, they see you and they're terrified. They're like, what the heck? And they run away.
Yeah.
They don't want anything to do with you.
Just like a deer or anything else.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And
they're just a wild animal.
What a childhood.
Yeah.
Riding horse. Like you had a childhood way different than me and you. Like not even the same.
No, not even.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Interesting. Both of us are substance abusers.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
That's brought us together.
Yep.
But like, so when you got out, what did you do? So when you left Alaska, what did you do?
Well, it was an interesting transition. I first moved from Dry Creek and I went to Fairbanks, and I went to University of Alaska Fairbanks for welding.
Yeah.
And I took some welding classes for a while, and then I met a kid who lived in Indiana. His parents had a farm down there, so I was like, oh, I want to go check out Indiana. I hadn't really been out of Alaska. So I went down to Indiana for 6 months, worked on this kid's farm, and it was just kind of bizarre and weird. And back then, I didn't have a lot of, I didn't really have substance abuse issues. My coping mechanism was like exercise. So I used to just like run, like every day I'd run like 30 miles a week.
Yeah.
And just go out in the middle of the night and just go running for 10 miles. And that was kind of how I coped with the thoughts in my head and the feelings and all the
fear,
things.
probably.
Fear, a lot of fear and insecurity and stuff like that. And I had a lot of existential dread,
Yeah.
as you would, growing up in a religious community. I was constantly worried that I was going to go to hell, for unclean thoughts or,
Oh, wow.
those types of like, oh, I'm never going to be good enough to make it into heaven,
Yeah.
Yeah.
because that was always taught to me, it's like fire and brimstone. I'd say the closest thing religion wise that the community was Pentecostal growing up. So women wore long dresses, didn't put on makeup. Like it literally lays it out in Paul.
Right.
That's where the whole idea of Pentecostalism came from. The people in the upper room, the first instance of the Holy Spirit descending on people, and they got the tongues of fire on their head and spoke with the Holy Spirit, spoke in tongues.
Right.
That was kind of like the actual religion, I'd say.
Yeah,
was Pentecostalism.
Okay.
And very strict and all that stuff. And so I was always living under this like fear of going to hell as a kid.
Damn. How'd you break out of that?
Well, probably the first thing I did was, when I went to college up in Fairbanks was when I first discovered like alcohol and marijuana.
Yeah.
Because that was never part of really my life.
Yeah.
I knew it existed, but it was kept out of the community.
Right.
And I knew there was people who like drank and stuff, but it was very taboo.
Right.
And there was a lot of behavioral addiction there.
Yeah.
And mental addiction, thought addiction.
Right.
And addiction to different types of behaviors, like people overate, those types of things.
Yeah. Right.
And when I went to college, I was first introduced to marijuana and alcohol. And I remember I went to this party one night, and I was just kind of like, oh, it's like kid from the bush. And I tied in with some other kids who are from up in Anchorage. And it's not as uncommon as you might think up in Alaska.
Yeah.
There's a lot of bush communities.
Yeah.
Right.
And there's a lot of kids who grew up in similar situations to me relative to the population,
right?
If that makes sense.
Yeah, for sure.
So I met other kids who I wasn't that much of an oddball.
Yeah.
And, I had some weird quirks, obviously, but that's pretty normal. It's not like I was one in a million.
Yeah.
And these other kids, they were like, oh, try this out. So I went to this party up on Ski Boot Hill, they called it, and we had a big bonfire, and everybody was drinking. And so I started drinking. Somebody gave me a Mike's Hard Lemonade.
Yeah.
I'll like never forget that
Yeah.
for as long as I live. And I remember just like drinking this Mike's Hard Lemonade, and it was like 40 below out. We had a giant pallet fire. It was like 4 feet of snow on the ground. Everybody's having fun. And I'm just like sitting there under a tree, looking up at the northern lights. And it was just a magical moment.
Oh, you felt God from that Mike's Hard Lemonade.
Yeah, I thought I did, you know.
I bet. Because that, you had, you know, it gives you that, like when you first get into it, substances do, you know.
Well, and I had spent my whole life up until that point trying to find God.
Yeah.
If that makes sense. I was always taught, oh, you gotta, like, there was a whole ritual of like basically having getting the Holy Ghost, they used to call it.
Yeah, yeah.
And everyone would stand in a circle around you and lay their hands on you and pray in tongues, and the Holy Spirit would descend on you.
Was it all like that?
Yeah. It just, you know, like what you straight up see in like old revival movies and stuff.
Wow.
Like, and then like baptism and all that stuff. That was all part of it. And the whole like societal, I was surrounded by this whole, like, you had to learn how to be one with God. We'd have like whole classes on it and all this stuff.
Yeah.
And I just never really felt like I fit in.
Yeah. So
I couldn't accept the society I was in.
Well, yeah, and that's what they say is like, that's how, so the first time I remember taking pain pills, and I was in college, I took, and I remember just being like, damn, I'm in life.
Yeah, this is it. This is what I was looking for.
I've stepped into the game. Now
Yep.
I'm not, I like everything. I want to call everyone.
Yeah, I'm
I wanna
not a
talk to you.
weirdo.
I want to talk to you. I want to talk to somebody.
Yep.
Yeah.
This is fun. This is amazing. This is how I should feel.
Yep.
Yep.
Damn, once you
Powerful,
have
bro.
that, if you're, you hardwired for that and you get that reward.
Yeah.
It's like something clicked in my head when I drank that Mike's Hard Lemonade.
Yeah.
And I was like, this is God.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
And so from that moment on, you know, I was hooked, and I just started drinking more and more. And then it wasn't too long before someone was like, here, try this. And I was like, what's that? And it's like, oh, this is a joint, you know? And I was like, oh, I'll smoke this. And I smoked that. And that was like even better than alcohol.
Yeah.
Because I didn't wake up with a sore headache.
Yeah.
You know, I didn't get hungover. So I really attached to weed.
Yeah. It worked for you at the beginning? Like,
Oh, yeah.
better than,
I mean, I thought it did.
well, yeah. Like, obviously you probably got the laughs in the beginning where you're laughing your ass off, you know?
You know, I laugh. But the thing that really helped for me was like numbing and avoiding like just the thoughts.
Yeah. You hadn't yet progressed to becoming the observer like you are
No,
now.
not even a little bit.
Yeah.
Like I had no concept of what that was.
Yeah.
And
Which is interesting because you're brought up people telling you need to find the mind of God, but no one taught you that.
well, I feel like a lot of the
No.
people I grew up with didn't know
Yeah,
how to
that-
find the
they
mind
didn't
of
know that
God.
Yeah.
either.
That's what I'm saying. I wonder.
Yeah.
That's why I like having this podcast and this conversation, because how many people we're lucky. We are blessed that we've had this disease in our life,
Yeah.
because it's caused us to suffer so bad.
Yeah.
You know that you've forced you to become the observer.
Well, I've also realized that, you know, from what I've observed and experienced in my own life, that human beings, we're going to take the easy path.
Yeah.
That's nature. Like you go through the woods, you follow a trail that some animal made. It follows the easy path. It doesn't go through the thick brush. It goes around the thick brush.
Yeah.
And the thick brush, to me, represents like the struggle.
Yeah.
The struggle of life. You got to go through hard things in order to grow.
Yeah.
And the only thing that's going to make you grow is, at least for me, was suffering.
Yeah.
I had to suffer before I reached a point where I was like, I want to stop feeling this pain, and this substance isn't working anymore.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I need to learn how. And that's when I started to to search in other places, and I found recovery.
Yeah. And then recovery. And so these last 2 years,
oh man,
you've gone on a journey.
Oh man.
I mean, I could tell the first moment because me and you lost touch about over a year.
Yeah, it's been about a little over a year.
Yeah, a little over a year, because you weren't around when I relapsed, were you?
I was in the wings. I knew it was happening.
Yeah.
I was here. I came to a couple sessions and they were like, "Oh, Hawk's going through some stuff,"
Yeah.
And then, I saw a little thing, some stuff online, and heard some stuff through the grapevine, but I didn't know all the real story.
Yeah. 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 What a journey. It's the same thing with me. This last one, as hard as it's been, my spiritual conditions has never been higher. Right. And I don't know if I would have got to where I'm at then without going through that kratom and having that experience, Yeah,
you needed that one dude, you had to think about it. Think about what kratom may become in the next 10 years. You had to be equipped to know that one.
Yeah, I like to think of it that way. Yeah, I know about that drug now, and it's the thing,
dude. It catches people by surprise. I've never tried it, but I know people who are caught up in it.
Yeah,
and are currently going through it.
Yeah,
one of my coworkers who got caught in it for 2 years, and then this summer he basically was like, I have to figure this out, and I tried to help him get into recovery. And I was like, I took him to a couple sweat lodges. I tried to get him into recovery, and he wouldn't do it. And now he's back in it, and just got out of jail.
Yeah.
So,
suffer. Like
That's a bummer.
How long you want to go? It's like my sponsor that I relapsed. We'd been working and I'd been doing good, and then I relapsed, and he's like, he's like, what you need to do? You need to just call your wife and tell her to separate, to protect herself from you, and that you're just going to go back out and you're going to just burn it all down. But just tell your wife that you're going to get separated from, and to protect herself from you, because you're not done. And basically hung up the phone.
Wow.
Yeah. Well, it was hardcore advice. I was like, and I was all maddened, but he was like, he was right.
Oh yeah.
He was right. And then finally, I've been rehab and but damn, I'm thankful. But I don't know, what a journey, Oh yeah. You've been on a journey.
Oh, dude, yeah. It's
and you're happy.
Yeah, I'm pretty happy for the most part right now.
Yeah.
For the most part. I'm still the thing that I've struggled with probably the most over my recovery journey is probably like having healthy relationships with romantic partners.
Yeah.
Because I was always looking outside myself to get some kind of validation of who I am as a person. And so, I've had my issues with my drug addiction, but also like going through, like I found the online dating thing quite a few years ago. And I had met my wife, like we got married. My first wife, we met when we were 19. She was from England, and I was working up in McCarthy, Alaska at the time as a guide. And we just kind of met. She was vacationing, and we started a relationship, and then she went back to England and came back, and it was a whole thing. And then we ended up getting married and having a couple kids and this and that, and that's when my addiction really started taking off. Before, I had just smoked weed and drank, but it never really affected me negatively.
Right.
At least not from my perspective.
Right.
I was able to have jobs. I was able to survive.
Yeah.
Blah, blah, blah. But then when I got married and we had kids and I had to start like showing up on a daily basis, that's when things really started to unravel.
Pressure.
Yeah, the pressure.
Yeah.
And I had to like hold down a real job, and because I worked a lot of seasonal jobs. I worked for the Forest Service, firefighting, working all summer, taking the winter off, traveling. Worked as I worked on a crab boat, fishing for a while. Yeah. I did a lot of I was a medic for 9 years, and kind of worked in remote villages, doing remote like ambulance rescue type stuff, and then I worked for a helicopter rescue company for a while, but it was all like short-term seasonal type jobs.
Yeah.
And the guiding thing no different, you know.
Right.
And I'd never really had to have like 9 to 5.
Yeah.
Show up, work, go home.
Right.
Like I could stay sober for, 5 months.
Yeah.
And work. But then I'd take the winter off and just party all winter.
Yeah.
And travel around and just do whatever. And then when I got married, we had kids. I had to start showing up. I started an apprenticeship as a lineman in the IBEW up there. And it was like, okay, you got to actually start being a dad.
Yeah.
And that's when the pressure just started to really get to me. You got a mortgage now.
Oh, man.
You got car payments.
That's when my addiction got bad, too. When I first became a father, those beginning years.
Mm-hmm.
It's interesting you point that. I never thought of it like that until you said that. But that's the same with me.
Huh.
When I first became a father, I needed something.
I didn't want to grow up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
I hate to say that. It's hard to say that because, like, those early years of my life, my kids were, like, up Saturday watching my kids. I gotta have some pills. I can't make it to watch my kids. I need to take something to make it through this. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That's some shit.
Well, and I was addicted to adrenaline. I was addicted to a lot of things.
Yeah.
That I used some substances, but there was a lot of behavioral addictions, and that's one of the things I learned in like recovery is that we can have behavioral addictions and mental thought addictions. We're addicted to because our own bodies create, substances, adrenaline,
chaos too.
And like serotonin, dopamine,
Yeah.
and so, I went through this process with my wife. We were together for 6 years, and I just slowly got worse and worse. I was messing around on the side a few times, got in trouble for that, had to like reevaluate my life choices.
Yeah.
And I just slowly got heavier and heavier into the drinking and smoking weed. And finally one day, it just reached a point where I was gone working and I came home and, she was just gone.
Yeah.
And the old
kids.
school out the door leave. Damn.
Yep, except instead of me leaving, it was her with the kids.
Yeah.
And, she went back to the UK. And, I was just in Alaska by myself with no family anymore. And I was like 27, 28 at the time. And I just really went off the deep end there. It was just me and my dog in an empty house.
Oh, can't imagine. Yeah.
And, I had a good job as a lineman and stuff, and I ended up just every night, 12-pack of beer, half a bottle of vodka, whatever. I started getting to the point where I was like, okay, I can't drink hard alcohol.
Vodka tonight. I'm just going to
tonight.
drink 18 beers.
Yeah, I'm just going to drink 18 High Point beers and smoke, an eighth of weed, and I'll be good in the morning. And that worked for about 4 months, and I just chased, booze, and that's when I really got into I just started going online, talking to all kinds of girls, and not even necessarily having intimate relationships. It was just I was craving connection.
Yeah.
I was just looking for something outside myself to fill that hole of sadness and loneliness and emptiness that I had in me that was like a depression. And eventually I went to work drunk and jumped in an excavator, ripped a power cable out of the ground and put half a city out of power. And got immediately fired and lost my job. And you hear about all this stuff, life and that's when I was like, okay, I gotta get sober. And I went to the UK, and I rented an Airbnb because my wife was from the UK, and she took my daughters and went back to the UK because they were born there. So they were dual citizens.
Yeah.
And it was a really interesting situation because they weren't under American jurisdiction when they were in Britain, and they weren't under British jurisdiction when they were in America.
Yeah.
So the divorce and child custody and all that stuff was really complicated. So I went to the UK and I lived there for like 2 months, 3 months, and just tried to have a relationship with my kids.
Yeah.
And that's where I first found sobriety. I started going to AA there.
Wow.
Yeah. Was
Really?
in Britain.
You were able to do it.
I did do it. I stayed sober that whole time. And I actually stayed sober from alcohol for 4 years after that.
Wow. And then you relapsed on weed?
No, well, I relapsed. I started smoking weed as soon as I got back to America.
Oh, okay.
Because in my mind, I was like, well, alcohol's the problem.
Yeah, okay.
Weed's not the problem.
That's where weed gets you.
It gets a lot of people.
Yeah. Well, especially if you're waking and baking hard and you're hitting it through every day, like probably you were.
Oh yeah. All the time.
That's a problem.
Oh, dude, and the more studies that come out about marijuana is with a certain type of individual, it kind of has some serious mental repercussions. And in me, it started to induce, towards the end stage, I started to get psychosis.
Yeah.
It's really like full on. That's the only way to describe it.
Happen from like Adderall.
Right.
And that shit.
The weed.
No joke.
There's another guy in SOAR right now who the weeds led him on that type of psychosis journey.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like just started to lose touch with reality and stuff.
Yeah. Thinking you're God, even like prophet. Like I've seen dudes get. Especially dudes who were messing with meth before, and then now they're leaning on weed.
Dude. Yeah, that's.
Or they've already had a little bit of psychosis induced from meth, and then they kind of use weed.
Yeah, that's.
Some people it helps, like those dudes who've taken it that far. Like,
Yeah.
I know people that they use it pretty medicinally, but I've also known people where it just brings on psychosis.
Right.
Yeah, that's
like you were talking about.
Yeah.
I mean, there's stuff that shows that, like like you said, the right mind can they've talked about. It's been studied, I believe, where it's brought on. It can bring on schizophrenia.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've heard of that too.
Yeah.
Luckily, I never had schizophrenia, but I definitely have had, times where I was like, had out of body experiences, where I've had like, thinking that stuff was there that wasn't there.
Yeah.
Like, just when I'm by myself, because I spent a lot of time just alone, just up in Alaska, just out in the woods, and just different things that just really, like interacting with people, perceiving interactions in a certain way that wasn't reality.
Yeah.
So it definitely affected my mind, lowered my ability to perform, making mistakes at work, just different things.
Yeah. Yeah, bro. So you're liking being sober.
Oh man, it's so great. Like
you wake up every day and just be like, damn, how can I get spiritual?
Yeah.
Like me too. That's where my mind's gone. Like I get excited about that. Excited about getting spirit, like finding. Yeah, it's like a drug. It
like, really is.
Kind of being the watcher, getting that, having. I look forward to that spiritual work that I explained every day, and it's better. It's a better high to use God as your drug.
I agree, and I feel like that as human beings, we have to have a connection with a higher power in order to have a full life.
Yeah.
And people can take that however they want, but for me, that's just how it is.
Yeah. Me too, bro. Bro, I appreciate you coming on, and I appreciate you. I love you being back in SOAR.
Yeah, I'm really glad to be here.
Yeah, what brought you back? Like, what was the deal? Like,
again, it's the relationship thing. Me and my wife have had a very rocky relationship over the last 5 years. I got divorced from my first wife.
Right.
Met my wife now, and we got married, and we have 2 beautiful children and stuff like that. And it's just been, we both have been through a lot of trauma in our lives, and learning how to communicate has been a big journey for me. And right now I'm dealing with a lot of just emotional turmoil in our relationship, and trying to figure out how to navigate being in a relationship in a healthy way.
Yeah.
And my wife she's not an addict, and she likes to drink.
Yeah.
And I need to be sober.
Yeah.
So I'm trying to learn how to navigate that at the moment.
Yeah.
So we had some rough couple of months, and I just decided, I want to start getting back into recovery. I want to go back to SOAR. I want to start getting grounded again, and just really get back into my and start working on my spiritual state, and stop worrying about what she's doing and start focusing on what I'm doing, what I need to do.
Yeah, what I've noticed. Well, you're taking on a role now at SOAR because you got these years and all this wisdom. I think where you're going to get the most is just coming in and sharing like you have been. like I know you're here, but maybe that's where you're going to get your spiritual condition elevated, because damn, bro, like we got some people in there. We just had a lady pass away. You knew that, right?
Yeah, I heard about that.
Did you hear about that?
No.
Yeah, last week.
What happened? Maybe we can talk about it after.
Yeah, but like it's just serious, and it's a serious disease, and we got people that are brand new to recovery. Mm-hmm. And what I've noticed with you coming in on Fridays and Saturdays, like you have been, is you've been helpful.
Well, I'm glad I can
very
be
helpful. Like to the stuff you say, dude. You've been through a lot, and you've had a lot of hard experiences that you've worked your way through, and it comes out when you speak.
Right.
Yeah. So I don't know. That's interesting. That like I was cool. Like when you came back, I was stoked because I knew you bring a lot of that to the table, and now you got this time in recovery, and you're working a program of recovery. You're right up my alley with the observer stuff.
Yeah, man.
So I'm learning a shit ton from you too, but yeah, thank you, bro.
Yeah, you're welcome.
I'm glad you're back,
and I'm glad to be back. And it's really great for me and my recovery journey to like see you and the stuff you've been through, and then talk to the newcomers and the people who are younger in recovery, because I learned just as much from them about how to get through the day and remember what it was like for me in the early times.
Well, yeah, that's like you see, like the lady who just passed. Like I saw her. Like you could tell that she's been, these people just getting sober and they're trying to put their life back. You forget what it was like to remember when it was hard to get one day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I keep going. When I see the new, and it reminds me, like, damn, all right, man, like this shit is hard.
Yeah.
You forget how hard it was to get one day, and then 2 days, and 3. So being involved with new people and help, and one thing I would say to you, like, some of the best individual conversations I have with people in this gym is when it's gym time.
Right.
Like outside of the group.
Yeah.
And I'm just wandering around freaking picking people. I had one this morning with, people like all morning just going around and getting real with people. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. And that's something I think you'd be amazing at, like freaking wandering around and just getting into people's lives and sharing pieces of your story. Like, and I know you do that, but I think you're going into a different. I could be wrong, but maybe I could tell. I see you going into the phase of your recovery of step 12. You think?
I mean, I like people. Yeah. I always have, because growing up, I think it comes from my childhood. Anytime someone new would come to the community, it was like this novel experience. Like, oh, here's somebody new, because I've lived around the same 150 people for 10 years.
Yeah.
So you know everything about everybody.
Yeah.
And when someone new comes in, it's like, oh, here's a new person, that was exciting to me to meet new people. And I think I've just always had that feeling in my life. I like meeting new people. I like interacting with people, and I like learning about people. It's just interesting to me.
Yeah.
And I definitely, as I've gone through recovery and become more self-aware, I've noticed that, it's definitely, it helps me when I can talk to someone else and they can share their struggles and their journey with me. I'm like, oh, I can relate to that.
Yeah, bro.
Sick.
Well, thank you, bro.
Yeah.
I'm gonna wrap this up.
Yeah.
Yeah, thanks, bro. That was sick.
Sick.
Heck yeah. Thanks for having me on.
Yeah.